The film came to be when I was thinking about what I would do for graduate school. You have an option of doing a thesis project or a scholarly paper, and you do have an option to do a film. So I was hung up on the idea I want to do a film, because that's what I went to grad school for, is to learn more about production and to make my own things. So I was originally doing a documentary on the DeKalb music scene, but that fell apart quickly. So I was in this turmoil of what am I going to do, because I have 2 years to make this film, and if anyone's made a film, 2 years is not that much time at all. So I'm like, I need an idea. I was talking to a friend of mine who went through the program before, and he mentioned, you know, what about interesting people? Do you know anyone interesting? My mind immediately went to my buddy John, because he's one of the most interesting people I know. His name is John Lennon, for starters. So he's blessed and cursed with this famous name, and he makes these comic books that tell these funny stories, but in a really dark, twisted way. And I just thought it would be interesting to follow him in his process, because I know he puts out a comic book every year at Comic-Con. So just show what it takes to be an independent artist and to try to self-publish and put your work out there, which I thought would make a good documentary. Comic-Con is each year, Wizard magazine, which I don't even know if they're in business anymore, but they throw a big comic book convention in Rosemont, Illinois at the convention center, and it's a three-day activity where all the comic book companies come in, independent artists come in, movie stars come in, and it's basically just a celebration of comics. The original premise of the film was just to follow him along in the process and see what it takes to make a comic book. But during the filming, I decided to give him a little video camera so he could do video diaries. And when I was watching the footage, the film kind of changed. Yeah, it does tell you about the process that it goes through to create the comic books, but it's more of a film about John as a person, who he is, why he tells the stories that he does, and you know, what he goes through in order to be this artist that he wants to. I mean, it's his dream to do these comic books for a living, but at what cost? Like, what does he go through? So it's more of a film about who he is as a person, and as a really interesting person. Yeah, it's a film about him and the human spirit. John and I have been friends for 17 years now, so we've known each other since middle school. We just kind of connected with our shared love of comic books and nerdy sci-fi movies and stuff like that, and we've been friends for almost as long as I can know. I would say it probably took an entire year through filming and editing, with conceptualizing even longer, so maybe a year and a half. But through filming and editing, it was probably a year. I'm extremely excited for people to come out and see this, but I'm also nervous that people aren't going to get it. But I think I accomplished my goals, and I think if you go in there with an open mind and aren't too easily offended, you're going to enjoy yourself.
I want to really thank John for being a part of this film. It is about him, and for him to do something like this, to let me this deep into his life, is really something special. It's a different sort of film, but hopefully you guys will like it.
I learned a lot in the film. I learned that it is definitely not a solo effort. I tried to do this myself as much as I could, and immediately, just with giving the camera to John, I gave up control. My advice is film everything. Film everything. Even if you think you have it, keep filming. Keep the camera on at all times, because you never know what you're going to get. Some of the best stuff you're going to find is when you're not expecting it. In the end, it's all worth it when you see the final product, and there's nothing greater than seeing what you've created up there on the screen for other people to enjoy as well.